If you love this pretty weather that we have in the spring, along with sitting on your front porch maybe and enjoying a glass of wine, you are going to be really excited to hear what Jonathan Ball has to say. He is the Executive Director of the Tennessee State Winery Association, and they're getting ready for the 7th annual Sip Chattanooga Wine Festival. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. Thanks for having me back.
So, first of all, I want to let people know that Tennessee is growing statewide in the number of wineries that we have, and that's what you're showcasing with this event.
Absolutely. I mean, at this point, there are well over 100 Tennessee wineries across the state.
Wow.
Not a lot of people know that. I think we're still at that 20 threshold, but it's really, really grown. And this wine festival is going to showcase at least 20 of those from all over across the state.
It's a great deal. So you've got at least 20 that you can come and sample. A ticket is just $40.
That's correct.
They'll have some food vendors there, so you can buy food at your discretion. But the variety you're going to have, Jonathan, is great. I think so often people think that a locally grown wine is going to be kind of a sweet, almost like what you had in college kind of thing.
Yep.
Not the case at all.
No, it's not just strawberry wine anymore. We have everything. So it is a big showcase, though, because a lot of people still do enjoy the sweet wines that Tennessee make. But there'll be a lot of dries offered as well. There'll be some Syrah, Cabernet, Gewürztraminer, Pinot Grigio, a lot of the names you know and like that you buy in the grocery store, the local liquor store. But there'll also be at least 2 or 3 meaderies, which is honey-based wine using Tennessee-grown honey from honeybees. As well as a bunch of fruit wines like you'd normally expect. But the dry wines really are starting to grow, and I think this festival will help showcase that.
Okay, I want you to go back. So tell me again about the honeybee part of it. I don't know this.
Yeah, it's kind of new to everyone. The honeybee part is, so a honey wine is just wine made with honey. Traditionally, it's called mead. A lot of people have heard of it. It's called as mead. But it's just a honey wine, and so the winemakers, instead of crushing the grapes or the fruit and using that juice to ferment into a wine, you actually blend the honey with water to the desired levels and add any other spices, flavors, fruits, anything else you want to add, and then you ferment that together to make a finished honey wine product or a mead.
So at those wineries, they have not only the grape, but they also have bees.
Yes, yeah. Trazo Meadery is out of Clarksville, and they said they're coming out, and he actually has his own beehives back at his farm, and even offers queens to other beekeepers.
Well, because that's become increasingly popular, having your own bees. But boy, do we all benefit from that. So that's
absolutely.
A full circle.
Oh yeah, and even the bees. Not all grapes need to be pollinated. A lot of them self-pollinate, but the bees do help pollinate some of the grapes too, which is kind of this really great, combination of things. You get the bees helping out, get to use their honey for the wine, and helps the grapes grow.
So I know enough about wine to be dangerous. My youngest brother has a wine cellar, and he's quite the aficionado. But the soil definitely impacts the grape, right?
Oh, 100%.
So if you are a winery in Memphis versus Ottawa, is that going to have a difference in the flavor of the grape?
Absolutely, yeah. Even if it were the same variety of grape grown in each of those 2 regions, the soil and the climate would actually impact the flavor. So, Memphis is known for the delta, right? The soil, silt, a lot of nutrients, so that can make the vines really vigorous and grow up really big. But here in Ottawa or Chattanooga in this area, what you're going to see is the vines actually have to work harder to get those nutrients, which can oftentimes lead to a better high quality wine.
Really?
Because it forces the grape to incorporate more focus into the grapes themselves.
We've had a couple of cold snaps, which is typical, but are the grapes able to withstand that, or does that affect them?
They are, and they do affect them. The last 2 or 3 years, we've had a lot of cold snaps late in the season, where we have that kind of like where it was last week, where it was really warm and then it gets kind of cold. And the grapes, most of them can handle it down to 20 degrees, 10 degrees. It's the real big swing that hurts them. So if it's 70 degrees one day and we're all out, in our shorts and we're having a great time, and then the next day it's like 10 degrees, like Tennessee does. Then the vines are also like, what's going on? They're kind of like us. They can't put on clothes quick enough.
Now, you were very kind today, and you did not want to come empty-handed.
Never.
So you've pulled a couple here that you think are good representations of the 20. Who have you brought with you this morning?
So I brought 2 that I could get my hands on pretty quickly to showcase the very big differences between the wines that will be offered. So this is the Apple Barn Winery, and this is a brand new wine they just produced for this spring and summer. It's called Apple Punch. And so it's a lot like a fruit cocktail, more or less, on the sweeter side. It's based on apple wine and then blended in with pomegranate, blackberry, and a little bit of watermelon.
Maybe fun ahead of Mother's Day?
Fun ahead of Mother's Day, and also a really good spritzer. You know, a lot of people get fancy with their wines, but you could mix this with a club soda or something like that over ice even.
Right.
And, you know, it's a really good way to showcase and use wines.
You know, I had never done a wine spritzer before. I don't know why, but that is really a great way if you aren't really wanting the full impact of a glass of wine, maybe it's a little bit too much for you. To spritz it up is great.
Oh, absolutely. And I really like it because I enjoy dry wines now more than I do sweets. And so if someone shows me and says, hey, I love this sweet wine, try it. And I'm like, I'll have some. It's a little better if you add some club soda to it for me because then it is more just like a refreshing beverage rather than drinking a full glass.
I have a minute left. I like a dry wine too. Isn't one of these dry?
It is, and so we'll open if that's okay. This is Mountain Valley Syrah, and the reason I want to showcase it is because Tennessee dry wines are really starting to improve over time. I know a lot of people have heard of Arrington Vineyards before. They're out in Franklin, Tennessee, but this one is located in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and they've been doing a really good job of starting to grow their dry wine base using both Tennessee fruits and blended fruits that come in. And I love that you got us a couple of tumbler glasses here because one of my favorite things to say is it doesn't matter what glass you use or what wine you drink as long as you enjoy it.
I like a tumbler. I don't have as much of a risk of tipping it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Thanks. It's a really easy to drink, dry red, not as strong as a Cabernet, more like a Pinot Noir.
And it's
so
very
people get
light.
used to.
Very light. Okay, here's what you do. This is the website that you go to get your ticket, TennesseeWines.com. It's the Sip Chattanooga Wine Festival, the 19th of April, over at the First Horizon Pavilion. $40 gets you in. You can find your favorite, and bottles will be for sale.
That's right. And there's also designated driver tickets for $10 for those that don't want to drink.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks.
I have a patient who wants an experimental implant. The good news is you'll have Bruce Schwartz.
Who's that?
Excellent surgeons have bad outcomes sometimes.
But that's not going to happen.
But it could.
But it